Hi, it's Jessi. Welcome to another turning. I should have filmed this clip when I was still dressed nicely, in my work clothes, but I forgot until I was getting ready for bed, and then I was trying to get my stuff set up for work tomorrow, and I realized I needed to pack this, so I needed to film this before I started so I don't fall behind. Anyway, welcome to my Stormlight Archive reading diary for Rhythm of War. I'm finally gonna start it. It has been almost a year since I read Oathbringer. Kind of put it off for a while. I wanted to make sure I got the mass market paperback edition. Hopefully I haven't forgotten too much. I don't think I have. And I'm excited to get back into this world. Maybe. I don't know. I've been told if I didn't like Oathbringer, I might not like this. So I'm a little worried. But stay tuned for my thoughts. Check out the playlist if you haven't been watching the rest of the series because you're jumping in towards the end. And this will contain spoilers up to whatever I've read in whatever section you are watching. And I will probably break this up for 5. It's probably 5 videos, one for each part. We'll see how it goes. All right, see ya. I forgot to bring the book in here with me, and I'm not going to bother going to get it. This will be thoughts through chapter 4. Let me slouch a little more so I'm better in frame. Okay. I split part 1 into roughly 5 roughly equal parts. And I'm hoping that I can keep myself to reading there so I don't. So maybe the video will be shorter. Who knows? Let's get into the notes. Prologue. I already knew this was Navani's book. I don't know when I learned that information, but I knew that. And I'm hoping this will make me like her more. I feel like I should love her. She seems like the kind of character I would love, but I just don't have any sort of feelings towards her one way or another. I kind of hate her romance with Dalinar, and that's really my only thought. However, I can tell you already, I'm already liking her a lot more. The prologue alone made me love her so much more, and I think it's just because we get to see so much more of who she really is, especially who she is outside of her relation to Dalinar, and I like that a lot. I'm also feeling so many feelings of protectiveness towards her in this thing. I mean, like, first off, her life feels stressful. And the other thing is she's, like, convincing herself she's the problem, which is disgustingly relatable. And Gavilar is awful. Awful. Chapter 1, I was not expecting a Lyran point of view. Didn't really want a Lyran point of view or need a Lyran point of view. He's not my favorite character. Don't actually like him that much. Like, my thing is that there is nuance to be found in pacifism, and I think there's ways to explore pacifism in a really interesting way, but fantasy doesn't really seem interested in exploring that. Certainly Wheel of Time didn't, and I don't think Lyran as a character is really doing a good job of that, because he's just like, there's so much complicated nuance to get into with whether the singers are the villains or not, and like in a different book series they wouldn't be the villains, and I think that's so interesting to explore. But the fact of the matter is they're enslaving people, and you're just like, yeah, sure, whatever, I will accept whatever comes because I would rather not get my hands dirty. And it's like, it's frustrating because I agree that what he's doing is valuable and good, right? Like, I think Alethi culture only celebrating soldiers is obviously bad. But but that doesn't mean what Kaladin is doing isn't valuable. And in fact, it very much is. And it just frustrates and upsets me that he's so single-minded. And I think that's a flaw of anything where you think the only thing of value is the thing you're doing is always going to be bad. If I go around being like, well, I'm a teacher and my partner's training to be a lawyer, and if I was like, well, it's not as great as being a teacher, you're not contributing to society in the right, and I get where it's coming from Lyran. I just hate it. I just don't like him. He's not a good dad. Moving into chapter 2. Oh my god, there's a lot. Oh, so we got this fight between Kaladin and defused. And there's this like slingshot thing. I don't have the book on me. I had page numbers to help me reference it. The description Sanderson has for like the way this like beam of light comes and then this thing, it's giving Looney Tunes. It's giving, because he describes it as like the snap of leather, and I was like, this is giving Looney Tunes. Kaladin feels guilty about not being able to sleep, and he's like, oh, sorry, I'm clicking. Oh, my past self would feel stupid that my current self is surrounded by so much luxury and yet I'm still unhappy. And it's like, baby, no. You could be surrounded by luxury. It does not change depression. Oh, honey. I'm gonna keep with Kaladin and I'll circle back to Shallan, who has like a short point of view in this chapter. But and on top of that, you have Syl guilting him for it, like berating him for the fact that he can't sleep. And it's like, oh, please stop. Like, not being able to sleep is a very common symptom of depression and anxiety and stress in general. And so, like, that idea, I mean, and I've been there, that like I am so exhausted and I cannot fall asleep. I'm either emotionally, physically, mentally exhausted and I just can't sleep. And it's awful. And I can't imagine how I would feel if there was somebody sitting there, literally sitting on my shoulder going, sleeping so easy. How can you not sleep? Like, I'm kind of starting to not like Syl. And I don't like that. I don't like that for me. I don't like that for me. But she does make Cal smile sometimes, so I guess there's that. Then we have Herdazians. We get to meet, well, not meet Mink. I'm pretty sure he had an interlude in one of the previous books, but the Mink shows up. I really kind of love him. He delights me. I think it's in the next chapter where Cal goes to meet him and he has slipped his guards, and I'm like, bless. Cal shows up in a very dramatic way, and he like brings the airship in so dramatically, and I'm like, this is a just Sanderson thing, and it feels really out of place for Cal. Like, I don't know. Feels weird to me that Kaladin wouldn't be like, obviously I could see why they wouldn't want to give him forewarning, but like at the point he showed up, when he talks to like his mom, why he didn't say, and by the way, we have a huge thing coming to evacuate you. Obviously it'd be hard to describe something they've never seen before and wouldn't necessarily understand, but like, we're planning on evacuating everybody, start gathering them or something. And instead he's like, something's gonna happen. So weird. The one note I had about Shallan from this chapter is that she seems to be finding a balance between her alters, and I'm gonna use that word. Please let me know in the comments if you think that's not the appropriate word to use. But she seems to be finding this balance between them where there's one more present, but they all kind of interact in a much more healthy way than the way they were fighting each other in the last book. So I'm really happy for her. Chapter 3, we get to see more of Navani's point of view, and I'm really loving this side of her where she's just like proud of her accomplishments and just really happy with what she has achieved. I love seeing this, and it comes as such a great contrast from the prologue where she has Gavilar very explicitly being like, you don't actually do anything. You're not a Fabrian. You just like pretend to be one. And now here she is literally inventing a flying barge. Like, good for you. Good for her. Although she definitely could have been better than naming it the Fourth Bridge. I just don't love that. It's cute. It's kind of cute. And the fact that the bridge is actually in the wood is like, it's beautiful. But the Fourth Bridge, like, how would you like to have this giant flying machine marvel of man ingenuity be named after your trauma? I'm not going to justify it. I ship Liren and Dalinar. That's it. And then the end of this chapter, and again, I have page numbers down, but the very end of this chapter, there's like a thing, and then Dalinar just immediately makes a decision, even though, like, in theory, Navani's supposed to be in charge of this airship. And he just makes a decision, and she's like, wow, that's just like him. Haha, I'll pretend like I don't hate this. And I hate that about Dalinar. These are like the things that I hate about him, is that like he just assumes he has authority. He just assumes he's in charge. And like the fact that he is technically in charge doesn't change it, because he's been like this from the beginning, where he just assumes he gets to do what he wants and it doesn't matter who it impacts. Drives me up a wall. I can't stand this man. I don't have a lot of thoughts on chapter 4. I'm obsessed with Vale's view on Shallan's infatuation with Adolin. I just love that. Love it. And then the end, Shallan is like trying to get into this organization, and she's like, "Oh, I'm pretty close to Dalinar," and she's disguised, but she's like, "I'm pretty close to Dalinar, wink, wink, nudge, nudge." And they're like, "It's fine, we already have somebody close to him." And she's like, "Oh no, there's a spy." And then she kind of like is like, "Actually, there's something you need to know about me." And obviously the implication is she's about to reveal herself as Shallan rather than, as Bright Lady Shallan rather than just somebody. And this is a bad idea because she goes from being a potential member of this organization to a hostage. And like, I know probably she can fight her way out of it, but then like all of the work she's doing undercover disappears. So don't do it, Shallan. Please just don't do it. All right, let's talk through chapter 9. And hopefully the classroom next door won't get too loud. This little drawing somebody did of me, cute. Anyway, let's talk. Doesn't need to be in frame, you know what I'm talking about. All right, so starting with chapter 5, really don't have any thoughts when there are these big epic fight scenes. They're definitely cool, they're described well. But after like the 3rd or 4th epic sky battle where everybody's flying, they kind of lose that effect. Not as impactful as they used to be. Shallan is always way smarter than I expect her to be. She did not reveal herself, bless. There was a really good trick. She was like, had Ela almost on the hook, but then Adolin messed it up, bless his heart. Cal stop being a jerk to Lynn challenge. Like, dude, I know you guys had an awkward breakup that we didn't get to see. We didn't even really get to see their relationship. But like, dude, don't be a dick. I'm gonna be really pissed off if it turns out that like all the girls that are Rin runners are the ones that don't have Sprang, because we already heard Lynn didn't, and there was another girl. By the end of the section, she does get one, so like it's fine. But it's a little weird that the ones they're pointing out are all women. A lot. Cal, why are you so obsessed with Leshui? I think it might just be like he sees something of himself in her, and that's why he's pulled to her. But like, you are not the only person that's allowed to fight her. Of course, then she stabs Sigil, and it's like, okay, Cal, please fight her. Couple goals, murdering a couple from an opposing political faction. It's adorable. Adolin kills Sadeas. Shallan's contemplating killing Ela. It's cuter than it should be. Anyway, I was worried about Sigil dying, but nobody in the series ever actually dies because they're all magic and they just magically live unless like there's a plot significant reason for them to die. Renarin showed up. Love him. High Marshal as a title for Kaladin. I thought my thought here was, oh, Kaladin must hate that, but then the first time we see him react to the title, he's pretty fine. So, I really love Rushu. I have no idea who Rushu is. Oh, she's the scribe, the very enthusiastic scribe that's very distracted and definitely recognizing things. In a way not dissimilar to Shallan. Well, more similar to Pattern than Shallan, but she's recognizing like it's a little weird. She's the one that recognizes Moash. Because she's like, wait, why are some of these people not in the fight? And Avani's like, it's fine, they're reserve units. And she's like, no, there's definitely something odd about this. And there was. It was Moash, who I love. I'm starting to think the fandom hatred of him has to do, well, here I say it's with their love of Avani, but I think it's just generally I was talking with somebody about this on Twitter, who then spoiled something for me. But I think it's largely that the narrative wants you to hate him. All the good characters hate him. And so there's this like draw to hate him because the characters in the story so staunchly disagree with what he's done. And I didn't think that. I don't know. I just don't think he's done anything wrong. And we'll get to that a little bit later when he has that interaction with Kaladin. I did not expect Kaladin's childhood memories to lead to relevant battle tactics. I kind of love it, but also I kind of find it really sad. Like him taking some of his happiest moments and being like, and now I'm going to use this to defeat an enemy is yikes. Chapter 7. Radiant, please stop. I get enough waffling over what to do from Kaladin. This comes from Lady Radiant being all like, no, we shouldn't kill. It's the wrong thing to do, which is very Kaladin core. And I hate it. I just don't like characters that are wishy-washy about doing what needs to be done. Like, and let's be real, like, if I were in any of these situations, I wouldn't kill. I've never killed a person. I can't imagine being in a scenario where I'd be like, yes, gonna kill a person. But also, like, I don't know. I always get frustrated with these kinds of things because it always seems like such an arbitrary line. Like, Kaladin has killed so many people on a battlefield. Adolin has killed people in battles. Shallan or Lady Radiant have killed people in battles. But, like, the second it's not a battle, suddenly it's like, killing is a moral line we won't cross. And it's like, you've already killed people. Why is this significantly different? Which I think actually Adolin and Shallan talk about later, and I think it's actually really interesting, or the three, which I super like, talk about it later, which I think is kind of like you kind of have to draw lines at some point, because otherwise does it stop? But I don't know. All right, I thought Ela poisoned herself. Shallan is convinced because it was an injection that she couldn't have, that there is somebody in their midst, but I don't know. I'm thinking she possibly poisoned herself from I was thinking one of the lines. But then they seem insistent that the poison would have had to have been injected. But I was thinking that because Shallan is like woozy afterwards and she keeps thinking, oh, it's just because of the trauma of somebody killing Ela, but also, and then like shortly after she burns off the alcohol that she's been drinking, and I'm thinking there was poison in one of the wines, probably the sweet one, just because, cover poison with sweetness. I think whatever, it's either not the poison they think it is that has to be injected, or Ela found a way to concentrate it enough to be poisonous when drunk. Or she had poisoned herself before Shallan even got there, maybe, because part of it was they were like, it won't act fast enough when ingested. I don't know. I'm just convinced she killed herself. Chapter 8. Oh, gross. The ability to instantly heal or no, being constantly burned must be absolutely awful. Yeah, probably. Ugh, I can't imagine it. Awful. So here's the thing. I think people, the Moash is clearly a foil of Kaladin, right? He does all the things Cal thinks of doing, but chooses not to. And the narrative wants us to be, well, Cal doesn't do it because he has more honor, because he's more noble. Alternatively, Cal doesn't do it because he's a coward. It's all perspective. So Elhokar the Moshier shown. Now, to be fair, I don't think Roshon necessarily should have been killed. I don't think Roshon necessarily deserved to have been killed. I do think Elhokar did. I definitely, I don't know. People get so mad at him for killing Elhokar and what it did to Cal and things like that, which I'll definitely have to go back and look at my notes or watch some of that video to see exactly how Elhokar's death affected Cal. Because I know a bunch of things happened to Cal, but for me, it wasn't like this one-to-one. Like, Moash betrayed Kaladin, killed Elhokar, and that led to this. But regardless, I don't know, literally like a week before that, Kaladin was plotting Elhokar's murder. And then he has this change of heart. And it's just like, Elhokar's not a good king. He's not a good person. And I'm not saying, being a bad person is enough but, he's done bad things. He was maintaining the status quo of the system that is oppressive therein. And it just, I don't know. The narrative wants me to think what Moash did was so wrong and that what Kaladin's doing is so right. And I just don't believe that. Don't get me wrong, Elhokar's death made me sad because he was turning around. And I think that's very tragic to have a character go through growth and be on the cusp of becoming good and die before then. And so there's tragedy there, but I don't think, I mean, like, nobody else knew he was going through that. And I don't know. It just feels very reductive. It feels very much like this black and white morality idea that, like, killing people is only good in these circumstances, which is bizarre to me because killing people is never good. But also, you know, I don't know. I like Moash. Here's the thing. The one thing I don't like Moash doing, which I think might be a little bit later. No? Did I miss it? No. Moash encouraging Kaladin to kill himself. Not hot girl at all. That's like the one thing he's done that I'm like, yeah, all right, I don't like you right now. But also, I was gonna go on a long-winded story about my D&D character. I'm not gonna do that right now. But like, I don't know. I don't know that he's actually telling Kaladin to kill himself. I think there is something deeper there because there's this like weird interaction with his friend, and I think the implication is that Moash should have been a Windrunner, and there was some weird corruption that happened, and he's not, but also not entirely not. I mean, he has the Honor Blade, which allows him to do the lashings and things, but also I think there's something more there, and I think that's kind of, he's trying to corrupt. I don't know. I don't think he actually wants Kaladin to kill himself. I think he wants him to join this nihilistic, fatalistic sect he's in. The implications that Shallan has more secrets she's hiding from herself is so interesting. I really thought it'd all come out. More on that at the end. I missed Patterns so much. Give this wacky little boy some shoes he can kick off and think better. I love him. I love Patterns so much. I see reading this right before JordanCon is really making me want to make a Cryptic Spren cosplay because they'd be relatively easy. Just wear all black, like make a headpiece. So I'm considering it. I just don't know if I have the time. I already talked about, and then Renarin the Bee. I love Renarin so much. He is not getting nearly enough time. Him and Pattern, shafted so far. I need more of them both. Chapter 9, quote from Navani. Only diamonds naturally. Navani, your privilege is showing. Girl, I can't work in mixed light conditions. I only use diamond. Girl. The Navani and Dalinar romance is just much more enjoyable from Navani's perspective. Dalinar, I don't like Dalinar at all, but I don't like the way he was so reluctant to like Navani, and I just like the admiration and the pride Navani shows in Dalinar that we just don't get from Dalinar's perspective. Okay, crazy theory. I swear I wrote this down before things got revealed, but I think Navani is talking to a Spren, or a Spren right activist. Because when they said like you've caused so much pain or whatever, like that is clearly it could talk about the Spren that she is imprisoned over time and from their perspective honestly experimented on. And so I think that's what's going on. And then it's revealed that they are talking about Spren. Whether it's a Spren talking to her, I don't know. God, Shallan is so horny. That comment left without further thought. The Ghost Bloods I thought were run by one of the heralds. I don't know why I thought that. So my thought was that maybe they were trying to beat the big like thing that happens that they're all kind of trying to fight against, but in a very different way than like Dalinar is. Instead of like stopping it permanently, it would just reset everything like the thing talks about. You know what I mean? But then Shallan's looking at the thing where they're clearly exploring the Cosmere because Scadrial comes up, which is where Mistborn takes place. And so I'm assuming all of these locations they have written down are different planets in the Cosmere. And then one of them has a name similar to one of the heralds, which is certainly interesting. No. Go to class. But not interesting enough for me to really dive into. Shallan and Adolin are actually kind of cute as a couple, reluctantly. Okay, Formless. This name, capital F Formless, has come up in Shallan's thoughts a couple times throughout these chapters. My guess, at the moment, whether it's accurate, I don't know, is that Shallan is her given birth name, but that she didn't really know who she was, because we all go through that. And formless is this kind of less an actual alter, less an actual personality, more just her fear of not knowing who she is. And so she created Shallan. This is going to dive into identity and all of the complexities of that, but like nobody knows who they are. Big secret. You know, you're a different person around different people. And obviously Shallan is a more extreme form of that, but I'm thinking that she went through this like identity crisis of not knowing who she is, because she acts so differently around her parents than her brothers than when she's not around them, and that this scared her into creating the personality of Shallan, who she views as something outside of herself. So formless is who she would say is her, but they're all her. It's kind of my thoughts. I don't know if I articulated any of that well. This clip is so long, this video. I might have to break this into 2 parts. We'll see. Anyway, I'll let you know when I've read, another 4 or 5 chapters. I love recording clips at work in theory, because it means I can read on the way home, but in practice there are screaming children in the hallways. I'm through chapter 13. I have notes. Honestly, I'm going to stop using the notes. I feel like I'm making the clips way longer than they need to be, and it's going to take... This video is already going to be too long. So 2 key things I want to highlight. At the last chapter, Shallan's point of view, the only thing I really noted was that, like, I love Shallan, but I'm not loving her plot. But then I realized there's not a lot of plot happening. It's giving me very much Way of Kings flashbacks. At least at this point, I care about the characters enough to be interested in them. But the story is giving me nothing. Like, Kaladin's story at this point is he's upset. He's going through his depression, and I'm not saying that's reasonable, but like there's no plot there. No idea what's going on with Dalinar. Navani's just proud right now. And so we just really get Shallan, who is dealing with this ghost blood thing, which is big Cosmere stuff, which is just not really my favorite part of this series. Where was I? Oh, Cosmere. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. I feel like part of my dislike of Cosmere as a whole is just kind of hipster vibes, because in theory, I like it. Like the idea of this interconnected universe and the idea of these guys wanting to figure out like smuggling, honestly, let's call it what it is, smuggling through this universe is pretty neat in concept. I don't know. I know this is going to connect with Mistborn. Because of things that I've seen about Mistborn Era 2 with the Lost Meadow, which I haven't read yet because I want to read this first. But I don't even really want to read I gotta be honest. I don't like Mistborn Era 2. So the idea that this is going to be relevant in Mistborn Era 2 or vice versa is kind of annoying to me. And so, I don't know. I just feel weird about it. But, like, it's cool. It's neat. I like it in theory. We'll see execution, how I feel going forward. But Shallan's the only one that really has plot happening. And, I mean, we have whatever's going on with Finley, right? And that's neat. I like that. I like seeing that. That stuff interests me way more. I don't know. At this point, we know who the bad guy is, right? And it just feels like we're in this holding pattern, waiting for somebody to do something. And it feels weird seeing them fight the singers because they're not actually the problem, And it's just, it feels gross. I don't like it. So that's where that is. The only other thought I had, I think it's interesting that Adolin very specifically draws a line between Shallan is his wife, Vale is not, and I assume Lady Radiant also would not. So that's interesting to me. It definitely leaves me, because I know Brandon Sanderson has very explicitly said he's not going to make them a throuple, because he's lame. But I could see a very interesting line wherein Vale dates Kaladin. I don't know. Oh, the other big thing I wanted to mention, beyond that was a small thing. The other big thing is the time jump. I'm getting increasingly annoyed at the time jump. So, like, we missed
so much. Kaladin had an entire relationship and breakup in that time jump. We had Shallan and Adolin got married in that time jump. And those are like events we missed. Like, I can't believe we didn't get Shallan and Adolin's wedding. Like, what the hell? Come on, Sanderson. But also, like, I don't know, there's a lot of character stuff that happened in that time, I feel like. Like, Shallan kind of got a handle on the 3. Obviously, we know that's fragile, and there's more there. But, like, where we left her at the end of Oathbringer, and where she is now, huge leaps, and we didn't see any of it. Kaladin's depression has gotten significantly worse, and we don't see it. There are way more Windrunners now, way more Lightweavers now. Where did they come from? I don't know. I feel like there was a huge jump between these books. And it feels like a lot of the character elements we didn't see makes it feel cheap, right? You know? And I don't like the big time jump. And maybe it would bother me less if I had been reading these back to back. I do think a lot of the things that are currently bothering me, the lack of plot and the time jump, would bother me less if I had read these back to back. I think taking the, year and a half long break I did between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War is maybe making Rhythm of War look worse. But I don't know. Something about it's really bothering me. Excuse my laziness sitting on the floor and not getting the book, but let's update on Rhythm of War. I don't know what chapter I was on. I need to go get the book. I feel old. Alright, finished chapter 17 through chapter 17. Thoughts. I know I had them. Maybe it was a mistake to stop taking notes. It's really the main problem. I love Venli. I think it's so interesting hearing more and more about the singers. I also think it's interesting that Dalinar's plan was more or less the same as what's-her-name's plan, the lady, the crazy singer, Raboniel. I think it's so interesting. Basically just strike straight at their heart. And I love that the Herdazian guy basically was like, yeah, no, that's a bad idea. Let's not do that. There are better targets. And I thought that was really fascinating. And I think it's kind of almost funny that was basically what Yasna wanted anyway. And he kind of just got her on her way. Also, bless Yasna on the just free the slaves. And it highlights my problem with Dalinar, where he's like, I don't think we're ready for that yet. And it's like, dude, your culture is bad. This is some very dramatic lighting I'm getting from the sun here. Maybe I should angle more. Not getting any better. Anyway, so like, thank you. Anything else? No, not particularly. Of course, Shallan loves this. Mink. There we go. I was like trying to figure out what I was like. No, that's not it. More kind of hints at. I mean, if we didn't know by now who what's his name was, we would. Zahel. If we didn't know who Zahel was by now, we would. I think it made it pretty clear in this chapter who he was, in one of these chapters who he was. He's interesting. I'm just right now not super into Kaladin's. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life story. I mean, I kind of am. I love him. I think he's great. But I'm just also kind of, I don't know, bored with that. It's not something I super relate to. It's hard. Anything else? There was something else. Navani's still great. I think there is something so admirable in recognizing your strengths and weaknesses the way that she does. She's fantastic. And we saw a little bit of Seth. I forgot that he was there. Honestly, I was kind of starting to wonder where he was. So I was glad to have the reminder, which was good. And that's really all my thoughts right now. I'm sure if I had recorded this yesterday when I finished this section, I would have had more, but I don't. Welcome to my childhood bedroom, my least favorite place to film.
But I finished part 1. I don't have the book on me right now because I left it downstairs and I don't feel like getting it. I finished part 1 though. You coming, buddy? You wanna come say hi? You wanna come say hi? Hey, if you lay down there, nobody can see you. Say hi, buddy. Unimpressed. Dalinar. Did I mention him saying no to ending slavery last time? What is wrong with this guy? Kaladin becoming a surgeon feels inevitable in a way I kind of hate. And I really hate Liren's response to it. Like, excuse me, but like, I don't know. I want to give him a little bit of credit. It's probably tough for him to see his son in a role so antithetical to everything he believes, but also like, maybe don't kind of rub it in his face that he has to do a job he didn't choose for himself. You know, I don't know. I didn't like his response. I'm not a big fan of the dads in this series, if that hasn't been clear. Do I kind of ship them, though? No, he seems very happy with his wife. I shouldn't do that. Dalinar does too. Okay. Speaking of that, Navani and Dalinar know what Taravangian has done. Now, they don't know that he's working with the singers. Yes, I'll keep betting you. Now, he doesn't know he's working with the singers. But that's another piece of stuff that, like, got revealed. If I don't pet him, he groans. That's another piece of information that, like, happened during that time jump. Like, I mean, they know he kind of betrayed them, right? Because they, like, revealed information. But, like, the questioning of Seth happened. The questioning of Seth happened off page. And so they got all this information about Taravangian off page. Like, I can't be the only one annoyed by this. I was talking with my brother because I'm home, and, like, Ben's annoyed by it. Kind of less annoyed than I am. But I don't know. But other than that. Okay, interludes. Syl is adorable and sweet, and seeing her perspective on Kaladin really makes me more sympathetic towards the effort she's making. I don't always think it lands well, but she does seem to be legitimately trying to be understanding. The second one was interesting. I'm wondering, is that where Renarin's spren came from? Because they know his is corrupted and wrong in some way. Is that where it came from, this unmade? Maybe. And Taravangian's planning on dying. Why do I feel like he's not actually gonna die? Like, it's getting my hopes up. Like, I don't think he's actually gonna die. And I mean, like, it's just amazing what he's planned. Even, like, down to that. Like, hey, make sure my daughter disavows me so that she can continue to control. Like, dude's crafty. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Overall impressions, nothing really happened. I mean, I don't know. It's set up for the rest of the book, but like, it was like 300 pages of setup. And that's just a little too much. And then, but on top of that, I'm asking for more because there's stuff that got skipped that I'm upset that got skipped. So I don't really know how you went out in this scenario. But that's kind of my overall feelings on it. Like, where's the plot? Anyway, make sure you subscribe so you can see when I put the next one out. Should be 2 weeks from now, I'm hoping. Let me know your thoughts below. And I love y'all. Bye.